Yeah, you're unmuted.
We're gonna open the public hearing for property tax. Sam's gonna give us an explanation on the floor when it comes to the podium.
Yeah, so this public hearing is regarding our annual property tax rates for residential, commercial, and personal property tax. Under the Missouri Constitution, what's known as the Hancock Amendment, we have to adjust our property tax rates each year so that they do not increase. Is it like 5%?
Our revenue the increase to the city's revenue cannot exceed the increase in the CPI year over year.
Yeah, so we have to adjust our rates based off of how assessments change. So this is something we do every year. We have to wait until county posts their numbers, which they have done and which we posted on the agenda and in a separate public notice. And then we adjust our property tax rates. So for this year, the proposed rates, which are in the ordinance later on, will have $0.233 per hundred, or sorry, yeah, $0.233 per $100 of assessed value for residential, that same amount for commercial, and $0.4 per $100 of assessed values for personal property. And these numbers have been certified by the state auditor's office, and they are within the Hancock Amendment. So now would be the time for anybody from the public to give comment.
There's nobody here.
Since there's nobody here.
Can I ask a question?
There's an ordinance later on,
Okay.
yeah. Unless you just want to speak at the public hearing.
Well, I could. I just want to know how much this has changed from last year.
That was my question.
So last year's rates were .226 for residential, 0.209 for commercial, and 0.4 for personal property.
Okay.
So the personal property tax has not changed.
Right, and that does not change year to year like the other ones.
Right, so the other ones have gone up, down, no,
They're going up slightly, and that has to do with
yeah,
assessed value. This is not a reassessment year,
0.7.
right.
Yeah,
so,
didn't go up much.
yeah.
Does anybody want to comment? Because you're going to be affected by this on your taxes.
Oh, yeah.
Should I say I oppose taxes?
Yeah, you
You
can.
want to come up to the podium?
Maybe next time, let me just get in the door first.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's a bunch of crap myself.
All right, so can I get a motion to close the public
More
hearing?
money, though.
I make a motion. All in favor?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No one opposed.
What was the motion for?
You don't
That
want
was
to
close
close
the public hearing.
Yeah.
it? You want to keep this?
I'm sorry.
Just reflect.
I'm just a little peed off. You know, my little bitty house. Come
Oh,
on.
well,
now.
mine too. I got a little bit.
Okay, who was the first on that? I'm sorry.
Me.
Okay.
And then, Steve.
I second it.
Okay.
I get you. I get you.
We don't say I Creve Coeur, Cleveland, town and country.
I know how office this is. All right, so workshop now?
Yeah, special.
Let's see, okay, that closes the public hearing. Now we're gonna open it to a workshop. Can I get a roll call vote?
Councilman Saxonheimer.
Here.
Councilwoman Cleveland.
Present.
Councilman Evans.
Here.
Councilwoman Campbell.
Here.
Councilwoman Valle.
Here,
We have a quorum.
Let's see. I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add, we have a few dates. The last few dates of the year are holidays, so we need to talk about what we're gonna do about the workshops. And then I had a scheduling conflict. And also, so to add, the workshop dates and also to add parliamentary procedures. Can I get a, what was the second one? Sorry, workshop dates? The first is the workshop dates, the second was parliamentary procedures.
I make a motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. All right, Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Who makes the motion?
Second.
As amended? No, first, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alright, ayes have it. New business. Let's see, where we start? Oh, Board of Adjustments. So, we needed 2 members for the Board of Adjustments. And, do you have the names? Where
Tony
is
Washington.
it? At the bottom.
Tony Washington.
Resolution 2427, there was a vacancy from an expired term of Bruce Gardner.
Oh, 2447.
Yeah, and the appointment is for Anthony Washington to fill that term, which these are 5-year terms. But it's been vacant for over a year, so that would expire in 2028. And then to fill the vacancy of Doug Aiken, which his term expires in 2 weeks, you pick Terry Gannon for her term to expire in 2029.
Yeah. So they accepted, and both of them have experience in real estate, and I thought that they would be a good choice,
Yes.
and everything. So we would just have to. I don't think they're here now. Can I get a motion to approve resolution 24-47?
So
So-
moved.
Do I need to read it? A resolution 24-47, a resolution of the city of Normandy appointing members of the Board of Adjustment. Who's the first? Who's that?
Karen.
The first? Who's
Karen.
that? I didn't say anything.
I guess I was first, and
Okay.
then,
Somebody was, I didn't
Yeah.
know. That's fine.
I'm missing a second.
Second.
Second, there you go.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Number 2, a motion for the approval of 24-48. This one is for Hosel Park improvements. Do you want Dennis to talk about it, or?
I'll talk about it now. Well, yeah, I'll talk about it real briefly. So Dennis brought to everyone's attention and wanted to bring this as a proposal. The new parking lot does not have lights, and so it would put us outside the grant amount. So this is something that we have to pay for ourselves. But given some of the recent activity in the park, he asked for a quote from the current contractor to install light poles. And so they gave us a change order to install light poles. It is,
This is the map where they be.
Okay.
and
You see it?
it is about $17,000 to put 2 light poles in.
Oh, wow.
So again,
grant.
it's not in it right now. We can add it. We don't have to add it. We do add it. We just need to make a budget. We'll amend the budget when we talk about that
Man,
later.
I never noticed there was any lights up there.
Well, there are lights. Well, Dennis will
Yeah,
let
we
you speak
just-
about this.
They're back by the playgrounds. There's 3 lights that are in there
Okay.
now that I just got fixed a couple
Okay,
weeks ago.
yes.
So we're lit up again, and we're lit up at the concession stand again. But at
Mhm.
night, when you go in there now with all those lights being there, we got this nice parking lot over there. It's just black as can be.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think to deter activity that we're trying not to have in there, if that's not lit up, I think we're providing an opportunity for it, so.
Mhm.
So, it's these 2 light posts right here that we're talking about?
It'll be one in the, if you're looking at the new parking lot where there's 20 spots, and what would go, is you're looking at it in the left back corner, and the other one would be in the right front corner. So
Okay.
the 2 of them should pretty well light up that lot completely at night.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so when the PD drives by it, there'll be no question whether there's a car in there or not.
So these light poles, they do work, right? You just need light bulbs in them? Is
No.
what-
No,
these
this
are
is,
new
this
lights.
is
Don't
all,
exist. These will be totally.
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah,
It'll
this
be
is
installed.
because, this is where the new parking lot is, where we have no lighting at all.
Yeah, it was
Okay,
all
got it.
grass before.
Oh,
And that includes running the wire and everything. Have we thought about the possibility of solar lights? Probably
cheaper.
Yeah, that's not the quote they gave us. It's just to bore electricity to the street lights.
And these are gonna be tapped from the existing lights that are already there?
So they're gonna run a separate breaker for those two?
Again, I go back to my original comment about solar lights. Have we considered the possibility?
They did not give us a quote or a proposal for solar lights. So yeah, $17,530, and that would be for two. Also, if we just wanted one, that'd be $12,260.
So you might as well get two.
Yeah,
Well, let me just kind of have some discussion on this. There are other parks that are being neglected in Normandy right now, and I would like to see some hard money in this budget assigned to maintenance of those parks, particularly the Valle Vista Park in Glen Echo, which is a new one. We've only had that park for about 3 years. It's completely overgrown. The fence lines are overgrown. Part of what we have to do when we get money in these park grants is to say how much we're gonna use to maintain them, and right now, we don't have any. So I personally am not gonna vote for anything that gives more money to a project to expand it until we have some money on the table for those other parks. The pocket parks are Teardrop Park, the park in Glen Echo, and I think there's a little space somewhere around San Diego where there's a little planted area that we need to take care of too.
Can I get a motion for approval of, resolution number 24-48, a resolution of the city of Normandy to approve a change order for a Hosel Park improvement?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No,
No. You said, that's aye.
it's 3-2. Right.
Two.
Is that three? I thought it was two. Oh, I voted no.
Yes.
Approved.
You said approved.
Yeah, because she said, I said yes. I said no. She said no. What'd you say?
So I said yes. So
I said
there's-
yes, you said yes.
Okay.
She
So
said
there's
no.
3-2.
It was 3-2.
So 3-2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not used to 3-2.
That's why I'm looking like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying
Right,
to, I'm
okay.
getting them
It's a
up.
resolution, so it only requires a majority of those
I
present.
will
They
say,
said that today.
I will say,
Yeah,
that's
they
the
did.
resolution. Now, well, we'll talk about it in a second. Now we'll need to amend the budget. So there's that.
I still would like to, get a quote on as far as solar power lights too. Do they make solar power lights that big?
I'm not sure. I'm
Can
not
you
an
check?
engineer.
Can you
Yeah.
check?
We can look into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
For
'Cause I know
or
it's-
for, the pocket park?
Pocket parks, I mean, just get a price on them.
Okay.
Hosea Park,
Do your
pocket parks.
parks
or
have
whatever.
lights?
we don't have any lights. That wasn't part of the budget for us, although, I mean, it just, they're little parks. Would it be helpful to have more lighting in there? Yeah.
Mhm.
We have lights.
So you have lights, we don't have any.
They don't have.
And Teardrop, yeah, we just got them fixed again. Those were all.
Yeah, those lights are ridiculous. Council Bill number 24-19, an ordinance of the city of Normandy establishing an annual tax levy for all taxable property within the city of Normandy for the year of 2024. So, this is the public hearing that we just had. Any questions or comments or anything? Sam, you want to say anything else about it?
I'll say one other thing, just how it'll impact city revenue. Let me find the page here. So,
I think line 33 or something. 34.
yeah, so this will take us from $115,000 to just over $116,000. So in terms of the increase, we're levying about $1,300 extra. So, yeah, basically just keeps up with inflation. And that's all. The only thing else I will say, because I'll talk about this. So with the state statute, we have to get this to the county collector by October 1st. We have to get the ordinance establishing the rates by October 1st. And if we do not, then the penalty is that we don't get to collect any property tax at all next year. It always puts us in a bind in September because the county collector does not publish the numbers until the 15th. And then we only have one meeting between then. And then we also have a rule, and part of our parliamentary rules, to have 2 readings of an ordinance at one meeting. It has to be unanimous consent to have the second reading. So, the next step in the meeting here would be asked for a motion to have a first and second reading, and that needs to be unanimous, or else we'll be calling a special meeting to have a second reading either tomorrow, or I guess it would have to be Monday, maybe even Saturday.
Saturday, anything.
Yeah. So the second reading part is really important because it's crucial for us to levy a tax. The passage is, that does not have to be unanimous, but the second reading does have to be unanimous under our rules.
Alright, can I get a motion for the first reading of Council Bill number 24-19?
I make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Well,
opposed?
it's an ordinance, so it
Oh,
doesn't
I
need
gotta
to
do
be
a roll
a
call.
roll
Roll
call.
call.
Hold on.
What?
What was the motion for a first and second reading, or just the first reading?
I said first reading,
Can you
No, you're
have,
right.
Just ask for a first and second reading.
first and second. Oh, wait, let me.
That's
see.
fine. If you ask for
Yeah.
first and second reading, and then there's a unanimous,
We'll just do one vote for
One
both.
vote for both.
Correct.
Okay.
Let's vote.
Can I get a motion for a first and second reading of Council Bill number 24-19?
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Yes. Councilwoman Cleveland.
Yes.
Councilman Saxonheimer.
Yes.
Councilman Evans.
Yes.
Councilwoman Baye.
yes,
Councilwoman Campbell.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Oh, now we're on the old business.
No.
no
Okay,
readings.
Second.
Yeah,
Oh.
read it twice.
I thought that was the whole purpose of us doing it.
Yeah, but now you actually have to read it.
Oh, okay. Council Bill number 24-19, an ordinance of the City of Normandy establishing an annual tax levy for all taxable property within the City of Normandy for the year of 2024. Okay, can I get a,
Now replay.
now I'm gonna do it again.
Yeah.
Okay, can I get a motion?
No,
Wait,
like
no.
literally just read it again.
What?
let's read it.
Just
Wait, I have to read this 2 times?
Yeah, we gotta read it twice. You made the
This gonna be
motion?
the 3rd time I've read this.
No, we'll get the second.
Okay, a Council Bill number 24-19, an ordinance of the City of Normandy establishing an annual tax levy for all the taxable property within the City of Normandy for the year 2024.
All right, now one more time. Okay.
You know what?
What is it?
That is.
So now there does need to be a motion to adopt,
Okay,
right?
motion to adopt.
So moved. Or,
Second.
second, whatever.
Okay, roll call vote?
Yes.
Roll call vote.
Councilwoman Cleveland.
Yes.
Councilman Saxonheimer.
Yes.
Councilman Evans.
Yes.
Councilwoman Baye.
Yes,
Councilwoman Campbell.
Yes.
yes.
Okay. You want me to type it out?
Yeah. Ordinance 819.
Yeah, I think it's already.
All right. It's a little less stress.
Yeah.
Now we're on to the budget.
Yeah.
Alright. Old business, Council Bill number 24-16, an ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri adopting a fiscal year ending in September 30th, 2025, operating and capital budget. Alright, so there were a few changes, right? That you want to talk about?
Yes. just real, well, can we get,
Oh, can I get a motion?
and a second for
And
a
a
second
second.
reading?
Can I get a motion? I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
What are we doing?
The budget.
Okay, second reading?
This is for, to have the second reading.
Okay,
Yeah, the
okay.
second reading, but there were a few like adjustments to it. It's the last time.
All right, now we got a motion and a second, I'll talk about what's changed. So first, from the previous drafts that have been in front of council, we now have an introduction and a budget message. So in there, you'll have a table of contents, staff and elected officials, an organizational chart. We have our vision, mission, and values. And then there's the budget message. And in this part, I wrote this, and there's part of it that just describes what each fund is. And then there's also a part that describes what each department is and how those interrelate. So for residents who maybe aren't super familiar with municipal budgets, it's a little bit of educational material so that they can understand what they're reading. However, on the first part, on page 4, I do talk about some of the priority issues that we're kind of facing, or trying to and things we're trying to accomplish with the budget. And the high points were that we're facing very high insurance costs, and so we're focusing on risk management and ways to mitigate risk. And there's obviously we did that by selecting a different insurance carrier, different insurance brokers, which are all decisions that went in, before and with this budget. Also, we have new capital funds with our change in the capital improvement sales tax. So a big priority for this budget is to start investing that capital in a planned way to kind of get us caught up, because we are, very behind, not only on, infrastructure things like our road maintenance and just the general state of our roads, but also our facilities, our buildings, our parking lots, and then also just our fleet and equipment is all old. So, so that's something that this budget seeks to address with the capital improvement plan. Going actually into the budget proper, there were some minor tweaks. I sat down with department heads one last time and just went through everything. Nothing significant. Just a few, switching of line items within departments. As far as the general fund, we are still, and this is the same as last time, we're budgeted, let me find the page here, this is page 15. We're still budgeted for a net change in fund balance of negative $73,650. That $73,000, or almost 74, is spending the Glen Echo Park money that was brought over for nuisance abatement of derelict houses, as well as street improvements or other public works improvements in the village. But right now it is for derelict, dangerous buildings and streets. But besides the Glen Echo Park budget, it is a balanced, zero net change in fund balance budget. Again, we received that $73,000 this past year because we're cash basis. We're now spending it in this next fiscal year. So it looks like a deficit, but really we're just spending money that we've been holding on to for a little while now. There were, and so I guess I'll pause there. Are there any questions about the general fund or any of the operating budgets for each department?
So you said we're at a deficit with this budget here?
There is a negative $73,650, but that's all being spent on derelict houses and street improvements in Glen Echo Park. So yes, it is a deficit, but we're spending the Glen Echo Park money, which we have set aside. If we never had the Glen Echo Park money, it would be zero.
If, would the lights, like the solar lights, be something that we would, if we wanted to, I don't know, put money as, do you think you wanna put money aside for, like,
I
for
think that,
solar lights from your 70?
So I
I
will
don't think
say,
we have money for that, and streets, no, that have to come out of parks or something.
yeah, something like that would be a capital.
A capital improvement?
Yeah, right now, and we'll move on to that in here in just a second, but I want to make sure that everyone's questions are answered about operations. And just real quick to kind of make sure everyone's on the same page, page 7 is the staffing for fiscal year 2025. And so this is the number of positions that each department has. And so this is kind of, gives you an idea of what kind of personnel we're having, or we're going to have, and what positions are currently vacant. The only change from fiscal year 2024 is the part-time admin clerk, which we put in at one point and we took back out, but we're putting it in.
Putting it back.
Yeah. So that's the only position being added.
So that's on the general side.
If there are no questions about the operating budget, we'll move on to the capital improvement plan. There were some changes, some last minute requests from departments. So if we go to page 22 of the budget document, you have the summary page for the 5-year capital improvement plan. So anything in the 2025 column is something that is going to be funded in the fiscal year 2025, right? Anything in 2026, 2027, 2028, that's all just placeholder that's planned for the future. We're not funding those projects necessarily right now, but anything in the 2025 column is funded in the actual budget part that we just went over. Changes from last time. Holzell Park, before, I think it was, the project was named Holzell Park Building Upgrade. There's a storage shed up there that needs some new siding and some maintenance on the roof. We've changed the project name just to Holzell Park Facility Upgrades, and we changed it to include replacement of the HVAC at the concession stand and the purchase and installation of a camera system at the concession stand. So the project name changed and the funding amount went up. I believe it was $15,000. So it's now $30,000 to redo the storage shed, install cameras, and redo the HVAC. Another change. Let's see right here. Radar and message trailer. Originally, we had a $20,000 request for a radar and messaging trailer. This was kind of requested by the Parks Board on behalf of the police department because they wanted to make use of the messaging trailer. The police department has made an additional request to get that, another radar trailer, and then 2 pole-mounted radars. So, and that increased it from a $20,000 request to a $40,000 request because those items aren't as expensive as a messaging trailer. If approved, we would now have the radar that's on Natural Bridge, that's more or less stationary, 2 mobile radar trailers, one with messaging capacity, and then 2 pole-mounted radars that we could put on a light pole, and it would, tell you what your speed is and flash at you if you're speeding. If there are any questions about the radar trailer or the pole-mounted radars,
I have
chief is right here.
I have a question. Do they really work? I mean, I'm just thinking about Bermuda, that they speed all day long. They don't care if they see they're going 45 miles an hour. So how would that help us on Bermuda? Or how, yeah. I'm sorry.
Right now, we have, we had a lot of speeding in the corridor, and it's why we came here, I think it was about 2 years ago, and we designated the school, safety zones where the increased fines, and then we wanted to get some signage out there, we're still waiting on the signage. But one of the things that we did until we got the signage was we moved the, radar trailer that the police departments had. Do you know what year that thing is, Sam?
2001.
It's 23
Yeah,
years old,
20 to
almost
20.
24 years old. It only, if you notice, it's plugged up to the power source right there on Natural Bridge.
Right.
So if it doesn't have a power source, we can't move it. We get those requests from several cities, from Pasadena Park, from Bellry Bakers, from the city of Bell Ridge. We get requests from them to bring the radar trailer to high-speed areas. It serves as a deterrent, and we always put them out there at first to monitor the traffic and determine whether there's an actual, speeding problem. Once it's been determined there's a speeding problem in that area, then we'll put enforcement in that area. We've been kind of crippled in that, in the sense that that thing can't move. It's stuck right there.
Okay.
So we're asking for a new one. So, I mean, obviously it's not broken, we're not gonna throw it away, and it does slow people down going through the school zone. Everybody's flying until they pull up to it and they see that the speed limit says 35 and they're at 55. Everyone, I mean, especially when there's a cop behind them. But my car's unmarked, and I see people, when they see their speed, they drop their speed. But the reason we're asking for another radar trailer is because that one is old and it's not functional really for us anymore. We will not throw it away until we absolutely have to. We're not in the business of wasting things. But if we could leave that one here and then use the other one to move around to various points throughout the cities, that'd be great. And then the two smaller ones are the ones like you see in Hazelwood and Florissant, and if you're on McDonald Boulevard, where they actually flash the red and blue lights at you. Those actually bring back reports to us about the speeds in those areas. So when people are going by, initially we could stick them out there and it will gauge how many cars have passed and then what the average speed is. That's gonna help us determine if there's even a problem. And then we can use that data to generate reports when people are complaining about speeding, to be able to say, no, we have a report for the past 30 days. The average speed in that area is 37 miles an hour. It's not ticketable because the speed's 30. We wouldn't be giving people a ticket at 5 to 7 miles over. As opposed to, you know, when, to everyone standing still, everyone's flying, right? So it helps us, and then the interoperability of being able to, the mobilization, being able to move them from place to place, so we can move them around. The two smaller ones would be deployed on arterial roadways, and the actual radar trailer, we don't want it to get hit. It'll be used inside of the neighborhoods.
So it does, it gives you a report of how fast people.
We can generate
Oh,
reports.
I had no idea it can do that. That's why I was asking the question.
They generate reports, yes ma'am.
So when the gentleman from, who lives on St. Mary's Lane complains about the speeding from Natural Bridge to the Country Club, you could possibly put it over there and you could see really if that's an issue?
And yes, and there's not really speeding there, but no one stops at that stop sign at Wallingford.
Got it.
I've been at Glen Echo a lot in the past several months, and we, in one day, counted like 60 people that ran that stop sign going to an event at the country club. And we were like, hey, that's if they had to stop to get their event passes from us. And we said, hey, you know that was a stop sign. So, yeah, they have a stop sign problem. I don't think it's a speed problem, but they definitely, because there's speed bumps. There's giant speed bumps on St. Mary's that make speeding through there unattractive. But stopping at the the stop sign is definitely a problem there. But yes, hypothetically, and then the radar trailer that we're getting, because it'll be 25, 24 years newer, actually has Bluetooth technology. And so it links to a lot of the things that we already have. And so it just gives us more technological access to be able to tap into it and drive data from it to create reports about what conditions are. And does it write tickets? No, it doesn't write tickets. You know, it doesn't have any monitoring capability. But they do have the integrated LPR software, where any time we decided we wanted to, we could throw in, we have flock cameras. We now have several cloud runners that we got for free. We could integrate the technology and put LPRs on those carts because they're Bluetooth, they're wireless. I mean, they're way more advanced nowadays. So we're just asking for something separate from what really the messaging board trailer, because the city needs one. I mean, the pop-up messages around town don't necessarily transcend well to everyone, and I understand that that's a necessity, but we as the police department actually need police technology, and we just need to be brought 25 years into the future.
All right.
Now, how much are these trailers, sir? Are they coming, which fund are they coming out of?
So-
It's
so
on
they
page
would-
42,
They would come out of the,
Capital expenditures.
they would come out of the capital improvement fund. I believe the messaging trailer that the Parks Board recommended it's $18,000. It's the most expensive item. And then what?
I'm getting 3 things for that price.
Yeah. So, and what the police department requested on top of that, which, they're gonna be able to use the messaging trailer as well.
If we
So,
need it, yeah, it'd be great.
Cause it also has a radar detector on it. That's another $20,000. So, in the last draft, it was 20,000. And we're talking about getting a bunch of stuff with that. And just so everyone kind of understands, since you asked the question about which fund is coming out of, if you look at page 23 and 24, which are the next 2 pages, you'll see the projected revenues, expenditures, and fund balance. So if you look on page 23, the capital improvement fund, it's right there in the middle of the page. The projected beginning fund balance at the, starting October 1, is $135,629. With all the revenue coming in from either sales tax or grants that we hope to get, and all the expenditures we want to do, as well as transferring out for some street improvements, our ending fund balance is going to be projected at budgeted at $45,000. And then you can see year over year with our expenditures that we have planned out, how that fluctuates. And at the end of 2029, we plan to still have $38,000, even though we have all these expenditures planned out each year. But as far as to kind of give you an idea of how much room we have to play here, with all these requests that we have in here, we still have $45,000 that will sit in the fund. So if you didn't fund something, that would go up, and then we could either use that for something else or save it for a future year.
And if we anticipate that things may come up later in the year that have not been identified, there's still a little bit of money in that account.
Yeah, for like an emergency or something, yeah. And we always, if we haven't purchased it yet, something yet, because we're not gonna purchase all of it on October 1st, right?
Right.
Then we can always ask to change things around as well. So going back, because there still were a couple other requests that came in. I'm gonna jump around a little bit. So speed humps, that was a requested budget, or that was a motion, by motion, it was amended at the last meeting to include $10,000 for speed humps. The locations have not been determined yet. On my copy, this says Parks and Stormwater Fund, that's gonna be paid out of the Capital Improvement Fund, I apologize about that. And so, $10,000, so that's what was requested. Any question, we have not determined the location yet, we're just putting the funds, and we will figure that out later.
Are speed humps more cost-effective than rumble strips?
I'm not sure, we can look into that. I will say, I think the line item's broad enough that if we fund it, that we can also make that decision later down the line. Another, unless there's any comments about the speed humps, set at $10,000. The other request, and I'm gonna throw this back to Chief, this was the last minute request for $16,000 to buy licenses for a report writing software that uses AI. And so, I'm gonna turn this over to Chief.
Questions?
What is it? I mean,
Okay, I have a little tiny presentation, and I know that Sam said, is it quick? Blue Line AI is a report writing software that was introduced at a SLAPCA meeting. I'm a part of the St. Louis County Area Police Chiefs Association, And the organizers of the Blue Line AI came out and did a presentation for all the police departments. Several other police departments at the time, including St. Charles County, Lincoln County, St. Charles City, Jefferson County, they're using the software already. They've introduced it for their officers. One of the things I had my people do after I went to the SLACA meeting was start a report writing survey to determine how much time we're spending writing reports. So anytime an officer took a report for anything in the city of Normandy or any of our contract cities, they had to come back in and they had to fill out one of these forms. And this is just for 1 month of June, where the officer wrote their name, the amount of time that, the time they started the report, the time they completed the report, meaning it was ready for the supervisor to be submitted, and then the nature of the report. Then the supervisor took that same exact information and they created a spreadsheet for the supervisors where if they got in, can we skip to, I've got some places that I want to skip to. The supervisors had to track the amount of time that they spent oh, it's right here on my device in front of me. They spent some time talking about how much time it took for them to approve reports. So what the typical process for a police officer is, they go to the call, they talk to the citizen, they get the information from the citizen, so they collect all the information. If they're on the call for 30 minutes, it took 30 minutes. If they're on the call for 45 minutes, that's 45 minutes of police time. They then, if they don't have any more calls, either sit in their car someplace with, safely, or come back here to the station and start writing the report. So on average, the average report time we found for an officer to write a standard report, which is a stolen auto, a lost article, a recovered article, is 30 to 45 minutes. Anything more complex than that, your domestics, your shootings, your violent crime, takes hours. If they have to arrest someone, they have to interview those people. They bring them back to the interview rooms, either here at Bell Ridge, they interview that person. The interviews can last anywhere from 45 minutes, 10 minutes if the person says, I don't want to talk, by the time you get through all the waivers. Or sometimes, what if they're in like a child sex investigation? 6 hours. So then they take all this information, they go back, they write their report. When they write the report, they then send it to the supervisor. The supervisor gets a list of all the reports that are ready for review. The supervisor goes into the reports that are ready for review, and they actually sit there either on a computer or take the printed report, and they start checking these officers' reports. So they check the face screens to make sure all the data is there. Then they go to the narrative to make sure that the spelling and grammar is correct, that the elements of the crime are there, that it's in chronological order. The point is, it is exhaustive, the amount of time that police officers spend. It is the single most driver of officer time, more than the calls themselves, is the report writing. The less articulate the officer is, the worse their grammar, their spelling is, the longer it takes. The supervisor finds all the issues with the report, they then kick it back to the officer. When they kick it back to the officer, if the officer's on his rec days later, the officer comes back in, he makes the changes, sends them back to the supervisor. What happens if he still doesn't like it? Our average report turnaround time is 14 business days. Sam can attest to this. 14 business days. So if you get your report on the 1st of September, you're not getting it till like the 21st or 22nd of September. That's at the point that it's gone through all the changes. What I hope Blue Line will do is eliminate these redundancies. Sam's going to pull up, I've queued some different places I'd like to play it. So this is what it's going to do. It's going to deal with inefficiencies of warrant creation, time-consuming report writing, grammar and sentence structure issues, inefficient organization and lack of collaboration, lengthy interview transcripts, and a lack of centralized storage. Can you go to the next place? I've got this, literally, this is going to take us a couple minutes. And report writing is a problem here. We want templated reports. So the way Blue Line works is, we as the agency, they come out and they do a 30-day period of warm-up where they come here and we give them all the reports. So we give them several examples of homicides, several examples of rapes, several examples of sexual assaults. For us, stolen autos, the most prevalent things, we give them the templates, and they actually build an AI-generated RMS, which is records management system, or report management system, that actually tailors every single report that the officers write into the best reports that Normandy has ever written. So they're going, it builds a foolproof template where when the officer goes out there, they can, and next year I hope to integrate some different technology that's going to work better with this. So remember I told you the officer goes on the call, it takes 30 minutes, they're talking to the person. Once the scene is secure, the officer in the future will have a tablet where as they're collecting your information, they're no longer writing in these little bitty notebooks anymore. They're entering your information in the tablet, and then they turn the tablet around, and when it's time to get your statement, they hit a button that says record, and you speak your statement into the tablet, it transcribes it directly into the tablet. There's no more the officer didn't get what I said, the officer missed something, it's recorded directly in there. The officer can't go to the next steps until every box is filled out. So there's no more, oh, they made it back, but they forgot the witness information, they didn't get a telephone number, they didn't ask where she works. It's a part of the template. You cannot move forward until you fill out every single portion. What will happen is guided from a wizard, there's a video transcriptor, and we're gonna look at that. Can you press play, Sam? It's got some audio to it. No volume? Maybe not. He's just explaining these things that I'm explaining to you. So this is the actual slapped up presentation. I brought it here today. So what will happen is the officers will take the information, before they ever leave the call, they'll hit submit. The report software actually writes the police report based upon all the information that they provided. It's got all the NIBRs and the MIBR stuff, so they can't code stuff wrong anymore. They can't code an identity theft to fraud or fraud and identity theft because the system won't let them. The AI generated software is smarter than the police officers, basically. It's tapped into the statutes, and it uses the most recent criminal code. So say, for instance, the code changed last week. The system's gonna know the code changed last week. It's gonna use the most recent code. What it does is it's capable of taking the template of information, the very standard information that you have, building that standard information out, and from the time the officer hits submit, once they enter the information, the AI usually takes 10 to 15 seconds to write the police report from beginning to end. The officer can then go through the report, make sure that everything looks good. It's still their due diligence to make sure it's proper. They hit submit, it goes to the supervisor, it's in the supervisor's queue. So now they have 30 minutes that the officer spent writing and taking the information. They're done. That report's at their supervisor's office. Search warrants, another thing. Whenever we have someone, if we have a crime, someone's got to go to a house, they got to get a search warrant. We have to stick officers there on that house, and they just sit there on that house. And we pull everyone out the house, and we tie up people with detaining people. It's a whole big show. Someone's got to go back to the office. They got to write a search warrant. Then they got to drive to St. Louis County. They got to go find a prosecutor. Prosecutor's got to issue the warrant. The judge's got to go upstairs. The judge signs off. It's a whole process. They can write the search warrants in the Blue Line AI, and the St. Louis County Prosecutor's Office, they can actually send them electronically, where the warrants will then go out to St. Louis County. Less resources, less time. Officers, less time sitting in the station, sitting writing reports, the more time they're patrolling. We lost some positions last year because of our budget. I'm trying to put the people back on the street and maximize the time that they're here. If they're here for 12 hours, and on average they're spending 6.5 to 7 hours of their shift, each individual officer, writing reports. How much time is being spent on the road? And what's everybody's complaint? I want to see the police. Where are the police? I didn't see the police. I didn't see anybody for a few hours today. Oh, we have to get a patrol. We didn't get our patrols today. I'm trying to put the officers back on the road, get them out of this building, and get them back to the calls. Hopefully, when they complete the calls, and it's CJIS approved. Regis, they're working with Regis and CARE right now. CARE is our RMS, our report management system, where they're working on intermerging with CARE, where once the officers actually complete the reports, they'll automatically upload into the CARE system, and when the supervisor approves it, CARE will show it as approved as well. If the officer takes 6 hours of recorded video, can you skip to the very last one? I think it's the one on transcription. It's the very last timestamp. Yes, ma'am.
How much does it cost?
It's $8,000. A 2-year subscription is $16,000. So, back one more, the last timestamp. There it is. One more. It looks like a bunch of lines with some red lines on it. Yeah, it's like the last or second to last one. They do a live demonstration where they're going to actually show you, okay, right there. So, they actually took a video from YouTube, a police interview from YouTube, and used this during the demo. They copied the audio from YouTube, they uploaded it into the software, and within like 35 seconds, the AI transcribed the entire conversation. So this was the conversation from the video, and anything that's in red, or places where it's confused about anything in red, it wants you to go back and it wants you to check to make sure. So 6 hours of video was transcribed, let's just start there, in like 35 seconds. 6 hours of recorded video. Normally, an officer has to put on headphones, and everyone has to give them the room where there's no talking. The officer has to sit there with headphones on and listen to the interview that they just took with the person, and they have to sit there and, by hand, transcribe the entire interview. The software is so smart, it can separate up to 6 speakers. So if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, we were all talking, I would start off the recording, I would play the recording, and then every time you would say something, the first time you say something, I would identify that as Vicky Valle, Yolanda Campbell, Tony Evans. After I get everybody's voices identified, you can play the IA, play the video into the IA creates the transcription. It can transcribe 6 hours of audio in under 15 minutes.
Question, but you would still have to go through and verify it.
You do not.
Yeah,
Everything
you
in
do.
black, Everything in back is transcribed with 100% accuracy, and that's what, if you could hear, I'll send you the video so you can look at it. Anything in red are the things that it has questions about, and it'll timestamp where it has the question. So if I had this recording, I would go to 17:51.6, and I would listen to the recording and see if they said Emily. And if they didn't say Emily, if they said I don't have any, then I would change the word to any. Outside of that, it transcribes with 90-something% accuracy, and the places where it's unsure, it flags them so the officer can go through. So something that would have taken them 6 hours to transcribe before now can be done in 15 minutes or less, and then the officer just needs to go back and proofread the places that are red. So morning text, and this was a homicide. I remember awakening towards noon. They need to go back and make sure that that word that the person is saying is awakening. They no longer have to sit there and type this all out, word for word. This is very time consuming. If we're trying to force multiply, we have the force that we have the staffing that we have. How do we maximize the staffing we have to give the constituents better service, get them off the desk, get them out the station, get them on the streets, get better turnaround time for reports, get better conviction rates because reports are making it to our municipal prosecutor quicker, reports are making it to our state prosecutors quicker, crimes are being funneled quicker to the prosecutor's office, and most importantly, officers are off the desk. Get them off the desk and off the computers quicker. And it's a 2-year trial. They're widespread. There's a lot of police departments that are using them. And they sell the licenses based upon department size. And for a department our size, the licenses are about $8,000 a year for up to 30 users.
Okay,
Yes,
so,
ma'am. And I'll send all of you guys this presentation. I'll give it to Sam so he can send it to you guys via email. And then you guys can just take a look at it. It's very slick.
Ms. Shivers has had, she's not here, but she's often referred to police overtime, and she's got a concern about that. It's cut down overtime.
Oh, our overtime is not an issue. We don't have overtime issues. What Ms. Shivers doesn't realize is that officers can come in at any time and work an overtime grant for the city of Normandy writing traffic tickets 4 hours before their shift, 4 hours after their shift, or up to 8 hours on an off day.
Got it.
So a lot of
it's
the
not an
overtime isn't even people staying here late. But she's never asked me for contextual clarity, so, yeah. On average, the average officer in a payroll, when we did the averages, the average officer in a payroll averages 2 hours of overtime every pay period for staying over and writing reports. That's the 2 hours that I can cut off. Unless there's a major crime, then it can get up to 6 hours. If they got a homicide, they're gonna be here till it's done. So, I mean, something like that, then yeah, we could get some sufficient overtime for a person if we had a major case call out where we have something huge and we've gotta call in more resources. But it's cheaper than calling in the St. Louis County Major Case Squad, and we have a 100% case clearance rate, so I like using our people anyways. We care more about our community.
What department uses now?
Bridgeton uses it, St. Charles County, St. Charles City, Lincoln County, Jefferson County, the city of Arnold, and the city of Eureka was going into this at the police chiefs conference, and that's the last time that I checked on who uses it. I can get a more updated list, but
But because our service area is contiguous to Bridgeton, down there,
yes, ma'am.
then there could be more coordination of what's going on over there and here.
Well, this is one of the things, it's not like Flock where we're information sharing. St. Louis County can't pull Normandy police reports, and we can't pull St. Louis County police reports.
Oh, okay.
Our custodian of records is responsible for the release of every record from this place because Normandy is ultimately responsible for what information gets out there. So we're not going to be information sharing, but something cool that the technology does do is if that person has been entered for other crimes, it can give you predictive crime. Like you can just ask it, what is the likelihood this person is going to reoffend, and it will go through their information and tell you the likelihood the person's going to reoffend. It's actually very smart.
So does the contract include, like professional development days for training?
It does. They're actually going to roll. They have a face-to-face training where the creators of it actually come out and they host the training with the police departments. And we have a 30-day build out. So in 30 days is about the average time it takes for them to collect samples of the police reports and upload those police reports, get them into the system, and for the AI to learn what we want a Normandy police report to look like. And if anybody would like some samples of some bad reports, I got some. They really frustrate me when I see them. They gotta go back. They gotta write them again.
I've seen some police.
It's
reports.
ridiculous. And not because anybody lacks intelligence, but there's just different writing styles. And I don't like a lot of these people's writing style. If I see a police report that's one line, that should have been a paragraph. That's annoying to me to look at. Why does this look like this? So we get 30 days to build out the system and give samples and build our templates. If it takes longer than that, they're extending the trial. So right now they have somebody that's 90 days on a trial. We're not paying for anything during the uploading, the formulation. We don't start until they release the software directly to us and they're done building it out. He said if it takes 90 days, it takes 90 days. The build out period is free. However long that takes for us to be satisfied with the quality of what's coming out of it is how long it's gonna take. And I'm not afraid to get anything for free. I know you guys see our flock bill went down a few $1,000s because I fought with them. So I'm not opposed to getting the most out of what we're spending our money on. But it's definitely, this is a time saver. It's a time saver.
Okay, sounds like a good idea to me.
And again, I'll send you guys this presentation. It's probably about an hour and a half long, but it was a great presentation, it was a great meeting, and it's really the future. St. Louis County right now, when they got wind of this, their care unit started trying to develop a proprietary software similar to this for care, but they're years behind the curve. So St. Louis County is trying to roll out their own version, but we already paid them hundreds of thousands of dollars for all kinds of services. This is $8,000. And the more people that join, the lower your rates go. So they're actually, they harness the technology, they're using it more wisely, they're a better option. And even if St. Louis County did roll it out, I guarantee you it's not gonna cost us, nothing we get from them costs $8,000 a year. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And then just to wrap up, the capital improvement, as far as street maintenance goes, we're, in the proposed budget here, we have 500,000 if you count Glen Echo Park, budgeted for street maintenance projects. 250,000 we have in reserves in the street improvement budget, and then the other 250,000 we're looking to spend from CDBG as well as current revenues. The streets are the possible streets here. Well, obviously we've got St. Andrews and Henderson and Glen Echo. We only have about 34,000 there, so that's probably going to be some lighter maintenance as opposed to any serious resurfacing.
It's on page 40.
Yeah, there's gonna be individual cards for each one.
47, 48, 49.
And I'm just looking at the summary on page 22. But yeah, there's cards for each one as well. And then for fiscal year 2025, we have Norwood Manor resurfacing. This was selected based off of the street assessment. We're still, Dennis and I are working on finding an engineer to talk about what that street maintenance is gonna look like in the spring and summer. It's possible, we do have some streets in that subdivision, like Winchelsea, Holborn, Paddington, and I believe Atherstone, that have never been chip and sealed before. So it's just asphalt overlay that's got some pretty serious cracking that it may actually be cost effective to put chip and seal down and come back in a few years. And buy a few additional years for relatively cheap. But then there's some other roads that have been chip and sealed at least maybe once, maybe even a few times, that it is time to look at milling and overlay. But in terms of the budget, we're looking at budgeting $383,000 in Norwood's Manor subdivision, and potentially even more in 2028. It is our largest subdivision that we have in Normandy, and it has some of the worst streets as of right now. In addition to that, Bermuda Court, we have $100,000 budgeted for a resurface of Bermuda Court. This will hopefully be paid with CDBG money once that becomes available. That should be more than enough. So again, 500,000 total for street maintenance, and it is narrowed down to Glen Echo Park, Bermuda Court, and the Norwood Manor subdivision. Later on in the capital improvement plan, we have identified additional work in Norwood Manor, as well as some work in Normandy Heights, which is Marietta Circle, as well as Augusta.
That's not for this year though, right?
No, that's identified for 2029. So I mean, that's just.
I mean, and eventually, when we look at all this stuff again, doing the $33,000 that's left in the Glen Echo fund is not gonna do a whole lot. but there are some parts, the road from the entrance of the Lucas and Hunt on St. Andrews to about 72, I'd say 7220 or so, is bad. And so those would have to be the priorities, the worst parts would have to be the priority.
Yeah, we're gonna be looking at crack sealing and spot repairs with 33,000, so. But, you know, with some of the Missouri American Water work, hopefully that will get it
Yeah.
through until we can fund it. I will say, generally, it is a problem, it's a problem that all municipalities in St. Louis County, as they age, are facing. We have several roads which are frankly reaching end of life. And I attended a session at the MML conference just last week about street maintenance, and a lot of municipalities are facing this. But these subdivisions that were built in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, their streets are only meant to last, 70 years if all the maintenance is properly taken care of. And then eventually, you have to completely rebuild that street. If we were to completely rebuild every street in Normandy, based off of some, common estimate that a lot of cities use of $600 per linear foot, we're talking about $34 million. Okay, we're talking about, this year, we're talking about budgeting $500,000. So we can't keep up with that. If we were just to mill and overlay everything, which our street problems are bigger than just milling and overlaying everything, based off of our street assessment, we're talking about $4.3 million.
So, where are we with the TDD discussion that was being had?
The TDD will be on the October agenda
Okay,
for us to submit the petition. Beyond Housing is asking that we do that by November, and then they'll submit it to the judge, and hopefully it'll be on the April 2025 ballot. That would
Okay.
help. That would help.
that would help.
Yeah.
Address some of
It still won't solve the problem.
No, but it'll help.
So, and I think that is generally important to keep in mind with the capital improvement plan here. We've got stuff that we have to take care of with our facilities. Then you have to keep up with these things, but ultimately, our streets need more than what we have,
Right.
so.
Okay.
Was there something?
Oh, one last thing, because we approved the resolution for the street lighting, I'll bring your attention to page 24. If you look at the parks and stormwater on the top of the page, we have a beginning fund balance of $418,000 and a projected ending fund balance of $438,000. We need an amendment to include the addition of lights to a tune of $17,500 to fund the resolution that you guys passed, to add it into the budget.
The resolution that we
We need
passed,
a motion to add the 17,000.
Yes, because I didn't know if you guys were gonna pass it around, so I didn't put it in the budget.
was that the Hotel Park,
Yeah.
17,000?
Yeah, the lights,
Yeah.
it's on the parking lot.
So we would need a motion, a first and a second, to amend the budget to add $17,500 to the Wholesale Park project.
We will seriously look at the possibility of solar lighting that could probably save us in the range of about $8,000 maybe, or, because I've just looked up on my phone. The great big ones for parking lots cost about $3,500, $3,600 each, but it doesn't include installation, so,
Well, Ameren has a program where they can maintain them. You just have to pick them out. They have different, they'll put them in.
the solar,
I think they have some.
So the way
Yeah. They
this,
have a whole catalog.
and correct me if I'm wrong, Dennis, the way the street light will work, we pay for the installation.
right,
Ameren will change the light bulb if the light bulb goes out, or if the pole gets damaged, they'll replace the pole, but we will pay the utilities on it, so.
That could be an option.
yeah. I still would like to, even if we amend it for that, I really want to keep this idea of trying to lower that cost if we possibly can.
Can I get a motion to amend the budget to add $17,500 for, wait. Is it just lighting at Hosel Park, or do I say the word?
Yeah, you can just say lighting at Hosel.
Lighting at Hosel Park,
So moved.
a second? Who's that first? Who's the second? He said, a second?
I'll say.
All in favor?
Aye.
Um, any opposed? Ayes have it. Do I need a motion, do I need to make a motion to, just for the budget now?
Hold on, so, haven't city clerked in a while, I apologize.
He's Kiana.
Were there any nays on that?
No.
Now you're gonna look for a motion to adopt Council Bill 2416 as amended, and this would pass the budget. If there are any other amendments, we can talk about those now as well. But
I get a motion to adopt, Council Bill 24-16, as amended.
So moved.
Second? Any second?
you can second.
I can second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And it needs a roll call vote.
Oh, sorry, ordinance. Let's start. Down, Steve.
Councilman
Roll call.
Saxonheimer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cleveland,
Yes.
Councilman Evans,
No.
Councilwoman Valle,
Yes,
Councilwoman Campbell.
Yes.
Motion fails.
motion failed.
So as an ordinance, it requires a majority of the entire board to pass the budget. So, since we only have 5 members present today, all 5 would need to vote in favor to pass this budget today.
So now where are we at?
What?
Do we need a motion to like continue with 2024 budget?
I mean, there was, technically, the agenda item has been voted on, it failed, I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to be postponed, it could just be put on another
No.
agenda, but if we wanted to postpone it.
Well, no, I mean, do we need anything for just a continuation for October 1st?
Oh, I see. My understanding of the statute, let me review it again real quick, is that basically Normandy will be bound by its fiscal year 24 budget until such time as the 25 budget can be passed.
That's my understanding too.
Let me
So that
just-
would mean that we could get no progress on the demolition of derelict homes in Gwinnett,
Yeah, that's gonna be on hold. All the capital projects.
Everything's on-
which we
everything's
hope,
on hold.
we hope to do before winter.
Yeah.
Does that mean I keep my budget from last year?
In terms of like salaries.
My budget was higher last year.
So we keep with this 2024 budget until we can pass the budget. So we're like the federal government now. We don't have an operating budget for the next fiscal year.
We have the 1 week. What does this mean for the insurance? Yeah.
Well, depending on how that is understood with the continuation of 2024 budget, luckily our insurance costs went down,
Okay.
so we're gonna be able to pay all those bills. And even if they didn't, we would pay those bills and then find it elsewhere, because you need insurance. So it would make some interdepartment transfers. But
So we need a simple majority of voting members to pass a budget, is that right? Or does it have to be unanimous?
No, so in order to pass the ordinance to adopt the budget, since it's an ordinance, it requires a majority of the whole council, so a majority of 8. Which is 5, and of course, today we have 5 members, so it requires a unanimous vote. Today, because there are only 5 people here. But on a day where there are the full body of, there's a little more give there. So under the statutes, if the budget is not adopted on time, again, last year's budget is just deemed to be reappropriated until the new budget can be adopted. So this isn't, detrimental if we don't get it done today. It's not ideal.
It's not the end of the world.
Well, I mean, it does slow some projects that I hope to get done by the end of this calendar year.
Well, this will be on the, we'll put it on the October 3rd, 5th? No, wait.
Or, no, 12?
12th.
I will say if there are any changes that need to be made to the budget to help it pass, feel free to come to my office, we can talk about it and dive deeper into the numbers.
And then we'll try it again in October, so.
8th, it's the 8th.
No,
Is it the 8th? The 8th?
Yeah.
October 8th.
12th.
Second Tuesday, right?
Yeah. I didn't know what day it was. Number 2, Council Bill number 24-18, an ordinance of the City of Normandy granting to City Jump LLC a special use permit for the operation of a family entertainment center with food and drink at 7400 Natural Bridge Road and establishing certain conditions related thereto. Can I get a first
So moved.
and a second?
Second.
Second. So this is do we have any discussion? The first thing we wanted to talk about was like the hours of operation. Did anybody have any?
Well, what's the
idea?
original hour,
In the-
operations?
Let's see.
Was it 9, 10 o'clock?
It's on page, what page is it on? That's probably fast. It's in this packet. Page 3.
So do you mean
No,
like,
page,
It was
it's
the
page
same as
2.
honey.
2418.
Till 10 o'clock on Sundays, it's on page 2. 10 o'clock on Sunday through Thursday and 11 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. So we were,
it's a Monday through Friday operation.
yeah, Sunday to Thursday, yeah. Sunday to Thursday, they would close at 10, and then Friday and Saturday, they would close at 11.
Yeah, the same as Honey's.
Yeah,
Okay, so
So that's what we
we're
have
being
now.
consistent, okay.
yeah. Now, I would like to make a motion to change those times. I think that a more appropriate hour would be, because there is another, I just searched around it, there are other jump places around here, and they have hours of operation that are more conducive, in my opinion, to kids.
So what are those hours?
The one that is in Northwoods, they close at 7 during the week and 8 o'clock on the weekends. So the motion, when we heard from the owner, one of the things that she talked about was how she wanted to open it up to have like party rooms
Mm-hmm.
and everything, and have possibly like the college kids like come and stuff like that. I just think that the hours would be too much of a strain on
So
the court.
we're talking to 9 o'clock, Sunday through Thursday, right?
I would like to see Sunday to Thursday, 9, and then Saturday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday 10. I think that would be it.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it's Friday and Saturday. But you said
Oh,
Sunday to
sorry,
Thursday.
Friday, Saturday, 10.
Okay.
Isn't those your most busiest hours? I mean,
And then
Sunday
Sunday
to
to Thursday, 9.
9 o'clock.
Sunday
agree.
to Thursday, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And Saturday, Friday, Saturday, 10 o'clock.
Friday, Saturday, 10.
So it's shaving 1 hour off.
Mhm.
And my reasoning behind it was, it's in a residential area, one. Kids are gonna be there, 2. Yes, they'll be with their parents, but I think you also, like, in my mind, like, we need to think about, like, the mission and vision of Normandy that we have. And so, like, would those operating hours be conducive to that mission and vision and traffic coming in and out at that time? Especially with kids.
Right.
So, that was,
So what do we need to do to change it? Just,
oh, I just made a motion, I just need a first in it, though. Like, you guys
Well,
wanna
you
discuss,
are-
like, different?
Yeah, you're the first.
You're the first, there needs to be a
So,
second.
I would need a second, unless somebody wants to, well, my motion is on the floor now, but
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Let's get it over.
So we have operating hours on Sunday through Thursday, 9 p.m. And then Friday, Saturday, 10 p.m. I need a motion to approve as adopted.
I make a motion.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Well, to approve the special use permit,
Yeah,
was that,
Well,
well,
hold on, we still got a second reading.
it's good. I still need a second?
correct, we do need a second reading,
Okay.
and it's an ordinance, so
Oh, I need roll call vote?
there has to be a roll call for the ordinance. I also, you know, I do believe that the applicants are here and would like to say something, and just kind of seeing
Wait,
it
so-
that way.
The amendment that I just did, is that okay?
That's fine, right,
Okay.
the amendment you just did is fine, and we've
Just
noted
need a
that,
roll
so.
call.
I need a roll call vote, or should she go first?
It's up to you, Chair,
Okay.
whatever you want to do.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So one reason why I contest the hours that you stated, because there is a neighboring facility. However, that is a neighboring facility that facilitates for children possibly 6 and under, JJ's. Ours is a family entertainment center that supports people from any age up to adulthood. We are 1 block away from the college. There's nothing in this community that the college students can do. So I think it's, first of all, I want to generate revenue, a significant amount of revenue to compensate what was put into the building to attract customers from the area. And in addition, it's a family entertainment center. I do understand your concerns about children that you stated before. Again, I think it's the responsibility of the parent to be a responsible individual. The original hours were in line with your, what is it? Who? The curfew within the city of Normandy. And again, it's a family entertainment center. I think you're taking into consideration elementary students when the goal is to have adults come out too, and college students. We really want to, and it's not even offering a nightlife by closing about at 10 p.m. on the weekday. And I'm okay with 9 p.m. on the weekday. I would like to at least stay open to 11 on the weekend. So that's my comments back to you guys. So what happens now? Do I just stop and?
Well,
Somebody else would
Sure.
have to make a motion to overturn my motion.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, the revision's been made, if anyone wants to, you know, after hearing the applicant make a motion to undo that revision or make some further revision, right, now would be the time to do it. Otherwise, you know, the council can proceed to discuss any other aspects of the special use permit that they're interested in discussing, or make a motion, but we still do need to have the second reading.
I'll make a motion.
Or a motion to approve, right?
I'll make a motion to undo the
Well,
previous.
I guess properly would be just a motion to, rather than undo the revision, I think just
Mhm.
state what it is that you would like to
Okay.
see, right?
I'm stating Sunday to Thursday, 9 o'clock, and Friday to Saturday. Did I say that?
Yeah, you
That's
said
fine.
Sunday to Thursday.
Okay, Friday to Saturday, 11 o'clock. I think it, 11 o'clock is an acceptable
Yeah.
time,
Second.
because it's Friday and Saturday.
Uh,
If it was during the week, I'll have a problem with it, but on the weekends, I think that's acceptable, yes.
You got a first and a second.
Yes.
And that's a voice vote.
Okay. The voice vote?
It can be roll call if it's.
It can if you'd like a roll call.
Roll call.
All right, Councilman Saxonheimer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cleveland,
So Friday and Saturday.
He says Sunday to
Sunday through
Thursday
Thursday,
9,
9
and Friday
o'clock,
and Saturday
Friday and
11.
Saturday, 11 o'clock. Which is still before 12 o'clock, so I think 11 o'clock is,
Like, I'm just asking this question, so it's 11 o'clock, they're not just walking out the door, they're closed. I'm just asking for clarity. Is it at 11 o'clock, you're closed at 11? Like,
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
my
that's what
understanding.
That's what the permit would say.
Yeah.
okay, I just want to make sure.
I think
Okay.
11 o'clock, you're like,
Can I ask a question? What other option is it if you, or what are you saying? Like, I
No,
wanna
but
make
some-
sure I understand.
Okay, because sometimes you say 11, not you, but the person can say 11 o'clock, they're like, okay, so it's 11 o'clock, and they just kind of linger on, but they're like, okay, so the people, everybody should be gone by 11 o'clock.
I'll tell you, that she's kind of asking how the police would enforce it, or,
Yeah,
the city would enforce it,
right,
and it would be closed by 11.
Right.
right, that's what I'm asking, right.
Done, everyone.
So you called for me,
So yes or no?
yes,
Hard or
yes.
okay. Councilman Evans,
yes.
Councilwoman Baye,
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell.
No.
All right, motion carries.
Okay, can I?
Now we need a
Now I need
motion
a motion
for
to
a second read.
A second.
Yeah.
Do I do a motion to amend as adopted?
That's the,
Motion,
next,
okay.
that's the next one.
I need a motion for a second reading of Council Bill number 24-18.
So moved.
Second.
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 All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Now I need a motion to.
Now you read the title.
Okay, Council Bill number 24-18, an ordinance of the City of Normandy granting to City Jump LLC a special use permit for the operation of a family entertainment center with food and drink at 7400 Natural Bridge Road and establishing certain conditions thereunto. I get a first,
So moved.
second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
This needs to be roll call.
Oh, this
Roll
is a
call.
Because this is a motion to adopt.
Oh,
Councilman
motion to-
Saxonheimer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cleveland,
Yes,
Councilman Evans,
Yes.
Councilwoman Baye,
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell.
Yes.
Motion carries. Ordinance number 820.
What does that mean?
That means you have
Okay.
zoning approval.
You have zoning.
You're open.
Congratulations.
You're open.
Thank you. So what are the hours?
Oh, you said
11 p.m. on the weekend.
Saturday,
Thank you.
Thursday,
11
9.
p.m. on the weekends,
And Friday.
at 9 o'clock,
Yeah.
Okay.
Saturday,
Saturday,
Sunday
11.
through Thursday.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's it?
Yeah,
yeah.
Have a good
There you go.
evening.
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I hope to service you all. Come down and have a good time.
Thank you.
So the last two were, what was it? Oh, October,
I just wrote that down.
we have our next workshop on October 24th. And that is a day that I have an employment engagement. So we can either move it or cancel it. And if you guys wanna have it, well, there's three options. You can have it and somebody else will chair. You can move it, or we can just cancel it.
Let's have a workshop.
Yeah, that's,
Oh, we can move it.
so you guys need to decide what.
Well, and also, just to kind of frame them all,
And who, yeah.
the November workshop falls on Thanksgiving. So
Well,
that's
I'm not even
gonna
there
happen.
yet, I'm just doing October 1st.
Right.
But, yeah, so, right, let's
And-
just do
and then-
October, let's just
yeah.
do October 1st. So do you guys wanna move it to the third? So the third,
That means
the 31st is Halloween, so that's not good. It would be the 17th if you wanted to, I would think. If you wanted to move it, keep it on a Thursday.
I will say, so the 17th, I believe Bellery Bakers has their meetings here.
Oh.
They do have a later meeting. When's their meeting? It's not 7:30, it may be 7:30. So
What about the 22nd?
We could
Tuesday.
have, we would just have like a timed meeting, we would have to get it. But what was the other day?
What was what about that, the same week, but the 22nd?
That's on
So the Tuesday, the fourth Tuesday of the month.
Fourth Tuesday of the month. That's historic preservation, but I think you guys take precedence over that. They also haven't met in a couple months, so they're kind of without, they're waiting on some applications and stuff. It could work, I guess is the short answer.
What about okay, our actual meeting is on the 8th,
Mm-hmm.
so,
I will say, the 29th is the fifth Tuesday, nothing's happening then. Same thing with the,
I think that'll be better.
the 5th Tuesday? What about that? Does that work for everybody?
The 29th,
The 29th?
yeah, that's good.
Okay. Alright, so we'll move that one to the 5th Tuesday.
Yeah. It's on a Monday.
hey,
The 29th is
The 29th is, yeah.
That's a Tuesday.
Okay, then the other two, let's see, November, our meeting would be on Thanksgiving,
Oh, no.
so,
Unless we have turkey.
yeah.
bring it.
And then, for December, the meeting would be the day after Christmas.
No.
So,
What?
we can either move them now, in case we have something that comes up, or,
Why don't we wait for those for the full board, their input also?
Yeah, and honestly, end of the year, how much business will we have?
Yeah.
We could make that call on like the November regular meeting, see if there's anything that we even have that is pressing for a workshop. Same thing with December, or we could pick a date now.
No.
Yeah, I'd say let's wait.
I like the idea of waiting and see. But we definitely have, okay, so October 29th, we're gonna move that one. Or,
That's for the
That's not-
workshop,
yeah, the workshop.
correct?
and then, so November and
workshop.
December will wait until the actual regular meeting. Okay.
We can discuss it at the workshop on the 29th,
Yeah, yeah,
if we get enough people.
yeah.
Yeah, people, we struggle for quorum at the workshop.
Yeah. The other one, parliamentary procedure, so, Steve and Karen and I did I don't know if anybody else got on. We did the, municipal league, and there was a lot of good stuff in there. One of the things that we already have on our books is a consent agenda, which we do not do anymore, so, the whole point of that is that it's like non-controversial votes that we would have, and one vote would pass it and everything, so, Sam, like, we did it before, and he had a little blurb before, and he can,
Yeah, it's been a couple years now, and we had a few times where we did the consent agenda, and it caused a lot of confusion. The one time we did it, it went smoothly, and we knocked out like 5 items like that, but then eventually it just got to a point where people were needing to take things off, and then they were confused on what they were voting on, so we decided this is actually taking away more time from the meeting as opposed to saving time. So then we're just like, we're not doing that anymore. However, a lot of what was kind of blowing it up was amendments to the minutes. I've noticed that we don't have as many amendments to the minutes as we used to, for whatever reason. And I guess Deanna's doing a good job. Yeah, and I think the point of bringing it up is like, we could save a lot of time from our meetings, which have been running longer lately, if we do get consent agenda together. But it's just something that we want to communicate, and that way we don't all come to the next meeting confused when it's on the agenda.
My concern about that is whether, if there's anybody in the audience, whether they'll understand that change, because they're used to seeing how things work up here.
I will say, most of, like, what will go on the consent agenda would be approval of minutes. So, we always have 2 sets of minutes, so that's 2 votes. If we do a consent agenda, it's 1 vote. And then the other things we would throw on there are board appointments, like we had
Okay.
tonight, which are usually non-controversial, as well as contract approvals for things that are already
approved.
Like for instance, we have the waste management contract approval. Now, that may be a bigger one, but we've already approved that bid, right? We've already agreed to the scope. That may be something we put on a consent agenda, although that is a bigger contract, so maybe that's a bad example. But there are other just proposals we need accepted, run-of-the-mill stuff that usually we do at the end of the meeting. Usually people have left by that point, because the meetings go on so long, that we can just knock out with one vote with the consent agenda.
Yeah.
So I will say, it's totally up to the chair on how the agenda is formed. So we can start doing them,
Like, we wouldn't put an
but
ordinance in there, right?
and then if anyone opposes to something on the consent agenda, you don't even need a second, you can just pull it. You just have a right to pull it
That's
from
fine.
the consent agenda.
That's my understanding.
So the other thing was, and this is the other thing was, one of the things that they talked about was department head reports. And we spend a lot of time going over, doing questions and department head reports. So there was the city clerk of Frontenac, and then the other one from Maryland Heights. And they discussed how their department head reports are only done 4 times a year. And this is just my opinion. I don't need to be read to. We all read the packet, and we don't need to be read to. I don't think that that's necessary. And this is also one of the other things. We are all adults, and I think that department chairs understand what, if you call them, you can ask them in an email, like, I need clarification on this, or this. And if it's something that's, a little bit, they need to talk to Sam about, then put that in an email. But I think it's always better when you're asking someone a question and everything to have a paper trail just for your own clarification, so you're not asking the same thing over and over again, and you can always refer back to it, and it's all just in black and white. So when we do the department chair parts, we usually spend like 20 minutes going over questions and everything, when those are things that the department chairs are accessible to us, and if we have a question, we can ask them. And then we also don't want the questioning to become contentious either. So, or have conversations that go back and forth across the dais between people, because I think that sometimes it kind of gets like that. Or a citizen chimes in and everything like that. So I think if we could somehow just decide on, we're gonna have we have the reports, we read them, we get them, I think, a week in advance. If you have a question, then you can email the department chair and ask for clarification. The only caveat that would be special is that like if we had okay, the flock cameras are being issued, right? And Tamika wants to give Chief Sanders wants to give us an update on this is how everything's going at the front, or whatever. Or if we have, what would be another one? The jazz thing or whatever, and this is what's happening with National Night Out.
Right.
So it would be something, a caveat that would be special. So I don't know. See, you guys want it.
Yeah, as long as we get a report, written report,
Right.
I think we're good.
And I think the
with
reports
4.
have gotten really good.
Oh, I thought they
over
were,
I think they've got, and I think they're thorough, and I think
Yes.
they give us a lot of information, and
I agree.
everything. I would like to still hear from them and clearly have them here, and everything, but I think that, she said 4 times a year, did she say quarterly?
4 times,
She
I
said
believe.
4 times a year, they get 5 minutes. They get 5 minutes to, give a quarterly report instead of giving a monthly report.
And I'll say from our perspective, it's not, preparing the monthly reports is not an issue. In fact, it's even just good for us to go back and actually have to track the numbers and get it all put together. But from our perspective, some places usually where we get bogged down is in the questions. So just like a couple things on that. So some of the questions we get are things that we actually need to go back and get something for and bring to you, or it's just like, hey, are you aware of this? And those type of things are better facilitated through email, as you were saying. So, like, I don't have the asset inventory list here with me at the meeting. Just send me an email, I can get you that within 15 minutes if I'm at my desk, right? But, so point of inquiries in the department reports under Robert's rules are appropriate. However, they really should pertain to what's at hand, which is the report. So if there's a question about, hey Dennis, you said that you did, this work order here on, San Diego, what was that work order? Do you remember? That would be pertaining to the report, but something that's not mentioned in the report, that's technically out of order. The other thing about questions, and you talked about the talking across, everything should be towards the chair. So it should be, President Campbell, can I have a question about this, and he said, go ahead and ask it. And then I would say, and then I would actually give the answer to the chair, right? And then if there's a further, a follow-up question, that's also to her, and then my answer. If she says yes, answer, then my answer's to her. So that's how we're gonna start doing it from our perspective, then. Everything under Robert's rules, especially at the regular meetings where it is more formal, should be towards the chair.
That, again, presupposes that people read. I'm just saying that as a fact out there in the world. I don't think it's a bad idea, it would make things more efficient. But there are some people who are gonna get upset about it, and so.
I don't think there's some people that just are gonna get upset about anything. I think if it stays the same or it changes, it's gonna be the same type of upset. And I think that's one of the things too, like, we are supposed to read and ask these questions before we come here. And that's the purpose of having the workshop.
Right.
Is for you to sit and ask these questions now, so that when you do get to the meeting, you're not bogged down with all these questions. So if you do your due diligence beforehand, and a lot of times, the stuff that we have, the old business, we've already talked about it and hashed it out before, and it's only like, we have to just have a second reading. So you should, I don't wanna say you should always be working, but you should always, I guess, like reading and everything, and just asking questions before you get here. I think the other thing is too, a lot of questions that we have, like from citizens, we can put them in an email, and then that way we have something to look back on to reference to, which would be easier, for us down the road.
Now, let me ask a question about this, because emails become part of the public record if you've got a quorum of people. So like if you send it out to the entire council, if I had a question for Sam, and I sent it out, sometimes, I just want to know the answer to something. There are gonna be some people who are gonna want the entire council and 75 other people to see.
Well, I don't think it's appropriate if you have a question for Sam to put everybody on it.
Yeah,
Like
no,
if
I
you have
know.
a question for Sam, you should send it to Sam. Now, if you want to relay that information to like Tony or something like that, then
Right.
you can email Tony and say, hey, I got an answer to that, call me or whatever. But doing a group email, that's where
Yeah,
we
and
would-
that's,
that raises sunshine issues
Yeah.
as
that's
well,
what I'm
so,
saying.
yeah.
you wouldn't want to put everybody on.
I
a
wouldn't, no, and I
Yeah.
don't, for the most part.
Well, anytime, everyone's on the email, it does, bring that into question. Oh, correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, I do understand there is a difference between dissemination and requesting of information and
Right.
conducting business, right?
Yes, there is. It can be a fine line, and some people, I generally advise my clients not to do that,
Right.
because it just, some people can't help themselves, and it very quickly
Oh,
becomes a
yeah, I mean,
conversation.
if you've
right?
seen some of the old Glen Echo emails.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, we get them now.
So,
A
blind
citizen
blind
will
CC
put everybody
can be
on.
a good tool.
But even if you're BCCing people, technically,
It puts everyone in their own
Yeah,
silos.
but we
Right,
get,
because
we,
they know
we
when to
get them now
respond.
where,
Yeah.
a citizen puts everybody on, and I don't respond to.
no, I read them,
Yeah,
but I don't
but
say
I mean, I don't
anything.
think everybody like respond. I guess if a citizen is putting everybody on, then that's different. you know, but,
Yeah,
Mm.
but, yeah.
Well, like if a citizen, you're saying like if a citizen emails the entire council?
yes,
Yeah, I would say the council shouldn't respond to that.
right, that's right, yeah.
Maybe, you know, you as the chair or the
Well,
city
well, it's
administrator
happened,
on there.
it's happened before, and I
Sure.
typically don't, well, one instance I did, but that was just to say we're having this. like-
Right,
But,
Right.
like, typically, I'm not going to, because I'm like, everybody's on here, we
Correct.
can't do that, and everything, so like, if we have a question, you should just email Sam, or email, Dennis, and just say like, hey, I got a
yeah,
question.
and as a courtesy, if I didn't email Dennis, I'm gonna let you and Sam know what I'm
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it would be appropriate, like, you and I, if I had a question about something that pertains to our ward, I would put you on it,
Yeah,
and then say
yeah.
like, hey,
That's what I do.
you know, like that,
I
because
do
we're in the
notice that.
same ward, that's, you know,
It's usually important.
yeah,
It's
if
always-
it's ward specific,
Yeah,
yeah. So, those were just, but what did you guys think?
I agree. I think 4 times a year quarterly would
Yeah.
be good, as long as we get a monthly report so that we could read it. And if we could email if we have any questions, I think that's perfect.
yeah, what we don't want is the crosstalk and the eye rolling and, you know, and the attacks on people.
Yeah, personal tags,
Yeah.
yeah.
And,
Emails are gonna come when.
yeah, but the other thing I
Still
think that
workshop.
needs to be made clear to people is that whether we're in here, whether we're at a workshop, whether we're in a closed session, Yolanda runs the meeting. So if there's a question, you know, Yolanda says, okay, we've had enough of that, then you have to say, okay.
Mhm.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
It's a learning curve, so we'll
Yeah.
see how it goes. So that was, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion.
No second.
All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Thank you.
Yeah, not bad. No, I think that's a good thing. It's an effort to speed the meetings up a little bit.
We just need to enforce it.
Yeah, that was
I
it.
don't know where your grandson
I drove to him.
I don't know.
I drove his car to my house.
I'm not sure probably had enough. I don't like.
He wanted to come.
Started.
He ain't gonna let you. I don't know. I don't know how much you think you can do.
You gotta hold it.
I'm excited.
Yeah, we're not ready for that. right now. You need somebody.
I can't turn it
you need
down.
somebody that's dedicated.
I guess it's down here.
Exactly. You know, exactly. Because
I said, he can't go too far. I drove.
because it don't,
Why did you not get the word?
don't think that it
Yeah, no, I believe this is within your skill set.
Yes, I do have the work copy, and then we'll have, so I have Tiana print out the tax ordinance,
does. Yeah, yeah.
so
Well,
have
that's
you
like-
sign that
that's like-
tonight,
that's
then
like-
everything else,
If
we'll
somebody,
wait for Tiana to get back.
Cool.
just like on your phone, some place on your phone, you say that. When somebody
Just
calls
like
Well,
you.
that Gemini thing that keeps, it
And I
comes
still
up on
think
my
for
phone. I
conditional
don't
use
wanna use it,
intermits,
because
it's
I don't know, one, I
And
don't
you
know
start
how to
talking
use it.
to it,
Yeah.
and you look at it, and you like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.